Hello, everyone. My name is Mark Ferguson, and this is my Theories of Sociology presentation that shows the film Trading Places. Trading Places is a 1983 film. It's an adaptation of Mark Twain's The Prince and the Pauper. Um, our main characters are Lewis Winthorpe and Billy Ray Valentine. They're two people from two completely different walks of life, and throughout the film, they're forced to change places with one another and experience the other's lives and try to adapt to what that different lifestyle is like. And it's just a comedy film that kind of tackles the nature versus nurture debate. The Duke brothers, Randolph Duke and Mortimer Duke, are not our main characters, but they're the first characters that we're introduced to, which I think is very appropriate because they drive a majority of all the change and all the social change that happens throughout the film. So they represent uh, the Borgate, I can't pronounce this very well, Borghese, um, through Karl Marx's theory that there's always going to be conflict when there's two varying levels of either like the elite class and the working class, and they fit into that elite class. Throughout the film, they do a lot to oppress those below them, whether that's through their schemes with our two main characters or through their schemes through trading. You see a lot of that happening. They also engage in a lot of different experiments throughout the film too, and they kind of approach it from a very scientific way. But they always find them throughout the entire film. They're constantly interacting with their experiment. I think that changes the results. And um, Randolph Duke, he's the one who believes in the nature side of the argument, and Mortimer Duke, he believes in the nurture side. So that's what kind of begins the whole conflict about the film. These are our two main characters, Lewis Winthorpe III and Billy Ray Valentine. Uh, Lewis Winthorpe, he represents people who are in that working class of America. He works really, really hard, and he finds himself climbing up the ladder, but he can only get so far because those who are in that elite class prevent him from getting any further than that. He kind of recognizes that early in the film. He starts talking about all of his dreams and aspirations he has. Um, Tries to marry into the right families, do all the right things to kind of better his place in life. And then we have Billy Ray Valentine, which is coming. He's coming from the exact opposite side of the tracks, where he doesn't have much. He owes a lot of people a lot of money. He's running from a lot of people, and he's pulling a lot of schemes just to kind of make it by. And when he interacts with the Dukes, they change his life forever. Put him they swap his and Lewis's place, and they put him in Lewis's home and remove Lewis and all his money from his life, and you kind of see where things go from there. One of the things we see a lot throughout the film is this deviance. Um, when Billy Ray takes over Winthorpe's life, he starts to see things in his life that he didn't see before. He starts to see who certain people are, and people start to treat him a little differently as well. But he recognizes that behaviors that he was okay with before, he doesn't find he's okay with now. But one of the biggest cases of deviance that we see is with actually with Winthorpe. So um, theft and lying and just associating with the wrong people is something that the community he's involved with just isn't okay with. And while it's not always against the law the things that he's doing, they are things that once people find out or they believe him to have done those things, he's shunned immediately. They just don't want anything to do with him, and he's punished by his social circles. Then there's also the case with all the insider trading, which is another case of deviance. It's one of those things that people understand is going on, but the second someone is caught in that, you start to see the Dukes lose a lot once they're discovered in that situation. And insider trading is what really catches everyone up at the end of the film. And it's one of those white collar crimes that just affects just a lot of people. A lot of people who are standing to lose a lot of money due to them stealing reports and getting things ahead of time and trying to kind of cheat the system. There's a lot of social forces that work throughout this film too. We when they're engage with the Dukes, once the Dukes change everything in their lives, you start to see that it changes a lot about these people as well. Not just in that, like, in that moment, but they actually start to change who they are completely. And we see that with Winthorpe. He starts to gain a lot of respect for the people around him, people he didn't really have respect for before, his butlers, his people, the serving staff, people at restaurants, just people throughout the entire city that he before he would have judged initially. Now he starts to give them a second look. And then he starts to find the people he cares about. The woman he thought he loved, he realizes that that was just like a very surface level, and he starts to fall in love with another woman. And he starts to realize that his friends don't really care much for him. They just kind of were using him. And then we have who Billy Valentine, who his self-image completely changes. He recognizes that he can be more, and wants to be more through the social force that he's found himself in contact with. And he starts to recognize the impact that some of the elites have on those below them, and how messed up the system is. And it's something, as soon as he realizes that, it's something he wants to change right away. He recognizes there's a scheme there, and he wants to do the right thing and not just benefit from a bad system. There are a ton of different social theories that we covered in this class that exist about this film, so it's really difficult for me to choose which ones I want to focus in on. The film is just so packed with all these different social forces and social theories, and it's just